Hello, Rebecca. Thank you for
Hello.
meeting with me. This is just a pre-observation conference. It's going to be looking at your lesson that you're going to be doing for me, and we'd stated Thursday at 2:10. Does that still work?
Yep.
Okay, well, we will be in at 2:10. On Thursday, I always enjoy coming into your classroom and seeing your kids and seeing what you have going for them. And I really do want to thank you for all your work you're doing with PWIM this year. I know you're working hard with a PWIM coach, and she's pushing your thinking a little bit with PWIM. So I really thank you for getting that involved with PWIM so it can help the staff as we look into the future. We've been in school for about 6 weeks now. Can you just kind of tell me a little bit about your class, kind of characterize the atmosphere of your classroom?
In the classroom, we have a very supportive environment. The students are able to feed off of each other and support each other as we work through the day. We have a lot of different ability levels and different language levels, so the students support each other in those different aspects.
How did you get that supportive atmosphere going?
A lot of modeling, working with the other teachers that come into my room and showing them how we interact, and then providing that for them, that opportunity for them.
Well, awesome. We'll see how that all interplays with your lesson as you go through. In the time that we have, can you just walk me through the lesson you've designed for Thursday, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. This is a read aloud on regions, and my objective is that the students will discuss differences between renewable and non-renewable resources.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the lesson, I'm going to give them a couple of minutes to discuss with a partner something that they know about regions, and then we'll share that information out with a large group.
Okay.
As we go through the lesson, I will read part of this here and ask them. My question will be, what is the difference between renewable and non-renewable resources?
Okay.
I'll read this passage here and then ask them the questions. If they're able to respond, I will go on from there. If not, I will reread this.
Okay.
And I will have this piece of material up on the projector so that they're able to view this.
Okay. Good idea.
And then as the closure, the students will do a quick write after we have our discussion and we talk about how these things play out in our discussion of regions. The students will be writing how renewable and non-renewable resources connect with regions. And I'll get 8 minutes to do that.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like you've got some writing going on in this part of the lesson. Have you, I know the writing standard and benchmarks are new to all of us this year. Have you given any thought to maybe how this could tie into those writing standard and benchmarks at all?
I think they could easily tie into those.
Such as, what do you think they might be able to?
Here they should be writing in the descriptive text structure, which is part of our standards.
Okay. Okay. So if we were watching for the descriptive text structure coming out in their writing, would be a place that we could go back and check through our standard benchmarks if they're hitting to that area. Okay. So you've talked about the standard and benchmarks for social studies.
Yep.
And so how familiar are they with this subject matter, the renewable and non-renewable resources?
This will be a new topic. We've discussed the regions in depth, but this itself will be a new topic.
Okay, so if that's new, and you've already stated that you may have to go back and reread the passage to them, are there other strategies that you may have to incorporate to help pull out some of the information?
It might be beneficial for me to use a graphic organizer to maybe up on the board to show the differences between the renewable and non-renewable, like in a T-chart.
Okay, so like some kind of T-chart that would kind of hold their thinking. So as they're giving you some of these, let me just skim through that real fast. But as they're coming up with some of the various types of renewable and non-renewable resources, that would be a good way to hold their thinking into a T-chart like that. So as they go through this lesson, what then is your expectation for them?
My expectation are that they are able to communicate the difference between the renewable and non-renewable, and then relate that back to the discussions that we've had on regions.
Okay, so what are you thinking some of those ties might be?
That we use coal here, so that would be a non-renewable resource because it's not able to come back. So if the students can pull that back to the Midwestern region, we can discuss then how energy affects us in the school and how it affects them at home as well.
Okay, very nice springboard that way. So what led you to this particular lesson?
Knowing where the students are in their thinking about the regions and how we've been going around with the PWIM, I thought that this would be the opportunity then to go in and talk about resources. We've talked about landforms and other aspects of how regions are formed, so this kind of just feeds off of that.
Well, it's nice to hear your flow as far as where you're going with the lesson, because I know I'm just catching one snippet of a lesson, and it's nice to see where you're at. So it may not be as Thursday, they've accomplished the goal.
Right.
But what will be that way you will determine if they have grasped this concept?
Through their writing and also through my observations during their discussions, whether they're able to convey their messages clearly with the other students and the other teachers in the room, or whether they struggle with that.
Okay, so will there be other opportunities for you to collect other pieces of writing for them? Because this sounds like it's one snippet of their thinking. And you've described that one of the strategies they're using is this read aloud strategy that we've been spending a lot of time on in our school. What other strategies come to play in what instructional strategies come into this that you could see them doing?
I think this quick write here as the closure is important. It just gives them an opportunity to get their ideas down.
Okay.
And that practicing that writing is important.
Right. I think you mentioned something in the beginning. What were they doing here in the beginning?
Pair share.
Okay, so they were doing, I think, pair share, so it's getting that interaction going with one another. Okay, and the dialogue then back to answering the questions with the T-chart. I know one of the things, and you stated in the very beginning, that you have a diverse class and you have that community of learners atmosphere, and one of the things that I always like to key in on is how will this fit with our second language learners that we have here. So what are their methods or things that you'll be able to do to help bring them along? And I don't know the level of the kids you have in here, but
I have students who are beginning language learners that are migrants from other countries, all the way up to advanced English learners. And for those students, I will be having the words renewable and non-renewable resources up on chart paper, so they're able to see the connection between the text, what I'm saying, and what they're supposed to be writing. These students will also get time to discuss with their partners, so they're able to do that. And I also give them that opportunity when they do their quick write. If they need to bounce some ideas off their partner, they're able to do that.
Okay. What about any picture support or anything like that? Will they really know what renewable and non-renewable? Will they know that from past learning, or could there be some picture support
we could bring
with
in
that
some picture
T-chart
support.
or with the T-chart?
As we write some of these things down, such as the food, clothing, and houses, we could be drawing the pictures, and I could have the students draw in their PWIM journals as well.
We could do that, or even to save some time, since you already are seeing some things that you can pull out, maybe some quick clip art or something that could link right to that T-chart, so that they, since you sound like you have some beginners, if it was that you had mostly advanced, but the fact that you have some beginners they might need something there. But you've stated some very good things where you've got the chart, you've got the words there, you having them communicate with one another, having them bounce off their ideas. So you've stated some good ideas there. When you planned this, were there things that you struggled with as you planned it, or?
The introduction is something that I struggled with because I wanted to make sure I gave them opportunity to go back to what we had already discussed. so that we weren't just starting right away with the read aloud. I wanted to get their
Okay.
minds thinking, and it took me a while to come up with an
Okay.
activity
So
for them.
what led you to that opening introduction?
I've noticed recently that they come up with a lot more quality statements and ideas when they're able to discuss it with a partner. So I thought giving them that opportunity would get some good responses, which would then lead into the read aloud.
Good. So it's not that it's just a passive introduction,
Right.
and then having to listen to a passive read aloud. You're getting them interactive right away. Okay. Our professional development lately has been looking at differentiation a little bit. Are there any ways you can see that that might tie into this lesson?
Giving them the choice of who they want to share with their partner, which partner they want to share, and what information
Okay.
they share would be student choice.
Okay. Yeah, and our focus has been student choice, so that would give them a student choice of that. How do you foresee that happening, so it's not disruptive?
Giving them a choice between the partners at their desks, at their tables.
Okay.
So they're not getting up and moving across the room.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Because it sounds like you have some things that are very, not structured in a way that it's a rigid structure, but you have some routines that are there, and so that if we don't want to break through
Right.
those routines.
Yep.
Okay, so some student choice that way. We've talked through possibly some of the differentiation you could do with the learners, because if you have those the English language learners,
And the
those
teacher,
would be
yep.
pieces. And I know they don't hit on student choice, but they are providing some scaffolding for those learners like that. You've worked so hard with PWIM and getting it down to conceptual understanding. What is it that is so important for the kids to take out of this lesson for their lifetime? What's that?
The
Big picture.
biggest thing that's the most important thing to me is that they're able to see how this relates to their life. So when we're studying regions, it's important for them to know about the Midwestern region and what kind of things go on here, so that when they do go out into the community and further their education, they're able to adapt and know what's going on around them.
Okay, so would they be able to come up with examples even just around our area of renewable and non-renewable resources? What would they be things that they could be seeing in the news or hearing at home? Would there be examples?
I think so, yeah. We've been talking about agriculture,
Okay.
so I think that would come a lot into renewable resources and how that works within our own region.
Okay, so just kind of probing them to keep their eyes and ears open for times that they see something on the news that's talking about something that could be
Right.
non-renewable or renewable. Okay. So as I come in and watch this on Thursday, are there specific things you would like me to watch for as far as any teaching behaviors, or one of my focuses will be on the content, and you're looking at social studies here, so I'll be watching to see how the kids are grasping that. Are there other things that you'd like a second pair of eyes to look for?
I'd like to see, for you to see how many students are engaged during the actual read aloud itself.
Okay. How many students do you have in your class?
26 during this
26.
time.
Oh, maybe some kind of tally, or will they be seated at their desks?
Yes, they will
Okay.
be.
And I like how you've got them in pods of 4 that maybe even I can kind of draw a grid or something and just kind of tally
Yeah, that would be
who's responding, and I won't know
Yes.
their names, but if I kind of keep them to your chart, that might give you some information of how often certain students are responding, or if I see them
Right.
engaged. Okay. So we've talked through some next steps that you were going to put together possibly before the lesson. So as we close today, kind of re-summarize the goals you've set for yourself related to our conversation as you get ready for Thursday.
I think the big idea is for us to make sure that the students are all grasping the concept here of the different types of resources, and we can do that by using the T-chart
Okay.
with the clip art that will help the ESL students, and giving them choice, which includes that differentiation that we've been talking about in PD. The fact that we've got writing kind of ties everything together, so
Okay.
that we're all working with different materials.
Okay, great. And since we were both kind of thinking about that writing piece, and you made it sound like it hits the descriptive piece, maybe when we have that post-conference, if you could just bring a copy of your language
Yeah.
arts standards and benchmarks. I know that they are new this year with writing, and I'll look at them myself too to see how the two tie together and how we can bring that apart.
Okay, that
Okay,
sounds great.
well, I look forward to coming into your class on Thursday at 2:10.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll schedule a time to go through kind of a post-observation conference
Okay.
where you will be able to reflect on your lesson, and we can go from there.
That sounds
I
great.
thank you for all your hard work,
Yes,
Rebecca.
Thank you.
And this, well, how do I stop it?